This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content. So a lot of this was recorded before the Browns signed Joe Flacco to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. So whenever you hear Kirk Cousins for EPA and CPOE metrics, they're pretty much identical, him and Kirk Cousins. You can insert Joe Flacco into this conversation for that as a good replacement for Kirk, because the question in this video is more about what happened with the Browns quarterback room last year and how bad it was and just how much somebody like a Joe Flacco can make a difference. So, yes, a lot of this was assuming that Kirk would be the quarterback for the Browns, or at least an option for them. Joe Flacco is in a similar vein to that. Just wanted to put that disclaimer out before this video goes live because I think it is a very interesting topic to talk about. But now on to the video. How far are the Browns from being a winning football team? When I say winning football team, I mean above 500. How far are they from that? You might think that they're very far, given that they won 3 games last year. You might think that they're not that far because they won 11 games 2 years ago. But how far away are they? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about a plan for the Cleveland Browns to win football games this upcoming season, and if it's possible given the options on the table for them. I tend to think it is possible for the Browns to have a winning season next year. How far that takes them past that, very up to debate. Not sure how I feel about that, but I do think they could become a winning a winning football team next year. Now, in order to get to that point, they have to solve some problems that they have. Now, to be clear, every football team has problems, but I think the Browns have 3 critical issues on offense that need to be solved before anything, and then also some other things that they need to do defensively that will help them be able to maintain a certain level of success. Number one thing on offense was turnovers. Browns had 11 fumbles lost last year, which was 6th most in the NFL. They gave up 23 interceptions, which was 1st most in the NFL. 15.9% turnover percentage, which was the 2nd highest in the NFL, which led to an expected points value, or EPA, of minus 161.38, which isn't just the worst number in the NFL. Obviously, that ranks 32 out of 32 teams, but it's much, much, much worse than that. That minus 161.38 number is 2 times worse than the 2nd worst team, which I believe is the New York Giants at minus 82.92. So 82.92, you multiply that times 2, and I think you get slightly under what the Browns have, or equal to what the Browns have at 161.38. That's insane. That is an insane number. And that's the expected points contributed by all offense. And what that number means is that the Browns offense was making their defense's job twice as difficult as the New York Giants offense was making their defense's lives. Like, it was and is a insane number. Keep in mind, a negative expected points contributed by all offense is not common. It's not normal to have as a NFL team, let alone a number this egregious. There's only 9 teams in the NFL, or 9 teams in the NFL that had a negative expected points total. And obviously the Browns were the most egregious there last year. The league average was 66.7. So the average number is a positive number. Now, why did this happen? Why were the Browns this bad at offense? Why did they turn the ball over this often? Well, it all kind of points back to quarterback. Now, before we dip into this, we have to have the standard conversation. No, I am not saying the only thing that went wrong with the Cleveland Browns last year was quarterback. Other things went wrong. The defense was not as strong last year as they were the year prior. The offensive line was not as strong last year as they were the year prior. There were other things. The run game wasn't great, right? There were other things that need to be addressed. Nobody is saying that's not the case when they say that a lot of the issues on the offense last year certainly point back to the quarterback position. But what I am saying is, without a shadow of doubt in my mind, the quarterback position was the cancer of this team last year, and it ate at everybody and just chipped away, right? Why did the defense regress from last year? Because they were consistently being put in worse positions by their offense than they were last year. And the Browns' expected points weren't great last year, but it wasn't minus 161.38. It wasn't 2 times worse than number 31 on a ranking of 32. The Browns' offense was almost determined to make the Browns' defense life difficult, and they were successful. So, yeah, the defense did regress. A good chunk of that had to do with the quarterback. Why is it not just the offense? It's just another thing that goes. And when I say they made the defense's life difficult, yeah, they had a lot of 3-and-outs, gave the defense a ton of crappy field position, but also turnovers. A lot of the turnovers point directly to the quarterback, right? Obviously, the 23 interceptions, well, nobody else threw an interception other than the quarterbacks on the team. But the Browns had 11 fumbles lost. I think they had 20 fumbles total. Of those 20 fumbles, 3 of them came from the running backs. 1 of them came from the wide receivers. 2 of them came from punt returners. 1 came from Jordan Atkins. And 13 came from the quarterback position. If you want to know the breakdown, Jameis Winston fumbled the ball 5 times. Deshaun Watson fumbled the ball 5 times. Dorian Thompson-Robinson fumbled the ball 3 times. 13 of the fumbles, of the 20 fumbles, were on the quarterback position. I am going to say this sentence, and I say this with the utmost sincerity. I'm not being sarcastic when I say this. I'm not being overdramatic when I say this. I'm saying this, and I'm dead ass serious. Nobody can oversell how awful the Browns quarterback room was last year and just how detrimental that was to this football team. The offensive line contributed, but the quarterbacks exasperated the problem, right? The quarterback play was a legit cancer to this team's chances of being successful. And more specifically, Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Deshaun Watson were particularly awful. Now, public opinion of the Browns' 2024 quarterback room isn't very high, but I'm here to tell you it should be so much lower than what it was or what it is right now. Like, people are judging the Browns based on having a normal bad quarterback situation. Maybe if you're ranked the 32nd or 33rd worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, it's so much worse than just being the worst in the NFL. It is a significantly worse situation last year than any other NFL team had. The Browns didn't simply have bad quarterback play for an NFL team. They had quarterback play for 9 games that simply did not qualify as NFL caliber in any meaningful way, shape, or form. And again, I want to say this looking directly into the camera. This is not an exaggeration. This is not being dramatic. This is exactly what happened last year. So when I say a quarterback like Kirk Cousins could get you to a point where you win games next year, I am not saying Kirk Cousins is amazing. I am saying the Browns are going to go from some of the worst quarterback play that we've ever seen to manageable NFL quarterback play. And that difference would be a significant difference for this football team, a momentous difference for this football team based on what they saw last year. Now, what makes me feel this way? Well, walk with me. If the Browns want to get over 500 next year or this upcoming season, just simply not starting those two gives them such a better chance than they had last year. To understand the scope of their awfulness at the quarterback position and the uniqueness of how bad they were at quarterback last year, let's look at some advanced statistics. So let's start with completion percentage over expectation. This is a very simple stat, right? Based on the type of throws that you're being asked to throw, the distance of those throws, the downs on those throws, you get a expected completion percentage. This stat measures if your completion percentage was higher than what it was expected to be based on what you were asked to do. Dorian Thompson-Robinson had a CPOE of minus 11.7, which was the worst CPOE of all quarterbacks who played 100 or more snaps. That's 47 out of 47 quarterbacks. 47 out of 47 quarterbacks. Yeah, there's 32, 47 out of 47. The worst CPOE of any quarterback who played 100 snaps last year. And keep in mind, he had an expected completion percentage of 69.2, which means that he was not asked to throw very difficult passes. We saw the passes. He was asked to throw screens a lot. He was not successful. Speaking of successful, Dorian Thompson's success rate. This measures how often you get the desired yardage versus your down and distance. So if you get 5 yards on first down, that's a successful play. If you get 3 yards on a 3rd and 3, that's successful, right? It is a metric that measures success based on down and distance. Dorian Thompson-Robinson had a success rate of 32.9. That ranked 47th out of 47 quarterbacks who got over 100 snaps in the NFL season last year. 47 out of 47. Dorian Thompson's expected points average per play, which is similar to a success rate, was minus 0.386. What you need to know is that ranks 47 out of 47. 47 quarterbacks played 100 snaps this year. Dorian Thompson-Robinson was the worst. And it would have been by a margin if it weren't for Deshaun Watson. So let's get to Deshaun Watson's advanced numbers. Deshaun Watson's completion percentage over expectation, not as bad as Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but it was minus 2.2, which was 37th out of 47 quarterbacks measured. Everywhere else, he was equally as bad as Dorian Thompson-Robinson. His EPA per play, minus 0.222, which ranked 46 out of 47th. Deshaun Watson's success rate was 34.6%, which ranked 46 out of 47. Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Deshaun Watson consistently ranked amongst the 2 worst quarterbacks who played over 100 snaps last year. 47 quarterbacks played last year over 100 snaps. He was the worst, along with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Let me throw some of the names out there that played 100 snaps just so you can understand just how bad the quarterback play was. That's not just the worst quarterback play in the NFL. That is quarterback play that just simply does not qualify for NFL worthiness from two of your players, right? Deshaun Watson started 7 games for you. Dorian Thompson-Robinson started, 2 games for you. Like, these two guys started the bulk of your season, and they played 46th and 47th in a lot of these advanced metrics at the quarterback position. Now, you might ask yourself the question, man, 2 quarterbacks playing that bad? Are we sure this isn't just the offense? Was this Kevin Stefanski's fault? Well, that's where Jameis Winston comes in. Because Jameis Winston was in the exact same offense with the exact same wide receivers, with the exact same offensive line. No. Actually, with a significantly more injured offensive line than those two played with. So you would expect if this was a problem with the offense that Jameis Winston's numbers would look very similar to Deshaun Watson and Dorian Thompson-Robinson if that was what was dragging them down. But that's not what happened. Jameis Winston's numbers were much better. His completion percentage over expectation was minus 1.8, which was 36 out of 47. So that's within the range of where Deshaun was. But everywhere else, he was significantly better. EPA per play, minus .016, 33rd out of 47 quarterbacks. His success rate was 44.9%, which was 28th out of 47 quarterbacks. Again, numbers that aren't amazing, but on par with what Jameis Winston is as a quarterback, right? Jameis Winston is a low-level starter to a upper-level backup. Those numbers are consistent with somebody who is a backup or a low-level starter, right? EPA per play, 33rd ranked. His success rate, 28th ranked. That's consistent with what Jameis Winston should provide you in a competent offense. So it was them. When Jameis Winston seems like a generational leap of quarterback play versus what you had, there was a significant problem with the guys that you were starting. If you don't believe me, look at this damn chart. This is Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Slightly above him is Deshaun Watson. Now we're going to move all the way up, and there's Kirk Cousins and Joe Flacco. That's just how big of an upgrade, how insane of an upgrade, going from Dorian Thompson-Robinson and where Deshaun is on this chart to going to where Kirk Cousins is on this chart, or even Joe Flacco at this point, right? Those numbers are significantly better than where the Browns sat at quarterback play last year. So if you want to win games next year, you have to find a way to get yourself into that normal cluster of quarterbacks, right? That's what you have to do. You don't have to be amazing. You don't have to be at the top of the chart. You don't have to be in the top right quartile of the chart. You just got to get away from the absolute bottom. You had 47th and 46th ranked quarterback play on the team next year. If you go from 47 to 20, it will be unreal what the difference is there, right? Like the Browns, that's a tangible increase in wins. Kirk Cousins would have scored about 80 more points. Kirk Cousins, if you go out per 17 games, scored about 80 more points than the Cleveland Browns offense did all of last year. That number, 80 points, is enough to flip 7 of the Browns' losses into wins and turn the Browns from a 3-14 football team to a 10-win football team. It's not all on the quarterback, but damn, not having that position be anywhere even close to mediocre is detrimental. Now, it's also important that the Cleveland Browns invest in the defense and make sure that the defense doesn't fall off, because if you have an average offense but a average defense, you're not going to win very many games. A lot of this relies on you being able to maintain a very strong defense. I think the Browns defense was better than a lot of people gave it credit for last year. It's just It's just the offense didn't give that defense much time to breathe. But let me know what you think. Do you think just going from where they were last year, 47 from 46 out of 47 quarterbacks, to somewhere in the 20s is enough to get the Browns to an above 500 record at the quarterback position? You let me know in the comment section below. And what do you think is the best bet to get the Browns there? Y'all let me know. Have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.